Hey there, Hector here, co-creator of Evergreen Business System, along with Mike. I'm just going to record a quick video tutorial explaining a new feature we've just implemented. Okay, it's about using your own website in order to register attendees into your webinar. Okay, so far we've been using the built-in template, okay, which you can see up here in the configuration dashboard. Well, you can now directly register people into your webinar straight from your website. All right, there are two ways of doing so. You can either embed the webinar registration box into your website, just as you would embed, for example, a YouTube video. Well, you can also embed the actual registration box. We give you two different designs or layouts. All right, and the second option is to use your own squeeze page, your own opt-in form on your website in order to add your subscribers both to your autoresponder account and to your webinar. Both things happen at the same time. All right. So I am going to explain both different ways independently. Now, I am going to let our favorite voiceover actor, the man with the pretty voice, going on about explaining the first methodology and the first approach, and then I will come back to explain the second approach. All right? I will see you in a few.
You can also embed the webinar registration box straight into your own website or WordPress blog. Yes, you heard that right. We are 100% compatible with WordPress too. We offer two types of registration boxes, a vertical box that embeds beautifully into your site's sidebar, and a square box, which is very good to embed straight into your content posts. Regardless of whichever you go for, your visitors will be able to register to your webinar straight from your website. Cool, eh? In order to get the snippet of code you need to copy and paste into your site, you need to do the following. Simply select whichever box you want to go for, and then continue with the configuration process just as usual all the way until your webinar is fully configured. Once that's done, you will click on the Generate Files button, and the script will give you the embed code you are to copy and paste into your site. But I repeat, before clicking on the Generate Files button, make sure you've gone through the entire configuration process first. If you want to embed the registration box into a WordPress blog post, make sure that you paste the code into the HTML tab of your blog post editor. On the other hand, if you want to paste the registration box into your sidebar, all you have to do is go to the Widgets section and then attach a standard text or HTML widget into your sidebar. You can enter a title like Register to our webinar if you wish. And then down here is where you paste the registration box code. Simple, huh?
Okay, we are back. Now that you know how to embed the registration box into your own site or WordPress blog, let's move on to the second approach, which is to use your own squeeze page with your own opt-in form in order to register people into your webinar. Okay. By the way, both methods are totally independent to each other. You don't necessarily have to have both of them activated. You can totally deactivate, for example, the first one and activate only the second one. All right. So, in order to have your own squeeze page working as a as a way to register your subscribers into your webinars, all you have to do really is to activate this drop-down menu to yes. That's all there is. There is no other configuration process. Now, from this moment on, you would simply go about configuring the rest of the webinar configuration dashboard just as usual. So make sure to go through all these fields, configuring the rest of the options for your webinar, right? Eventually, you will reach down to the very end, which is basically to click on the Generate Files button. All right. I will obviously explain all about this, how to publish your webinar online once you actually reach the very end of the configuration process. This video will explain the whole thing much more in detail, but for the time being, let's just say that once you click on the Generate Files button, you will get a new set of codes which is obviously what you need to use in order to register people to your webinar from your squeeze page. Alright, you already know how to use or how to embed the registration box iframe code. Our voiceover actor has just explained all that, so I'm not gonna go about that anymore. I'm gonna actually talk about these two new sets of codes you've just been given. If you activate, again, let me go back, let me scroll back here. If you activate this field to yes, alright? If so, you will be given these two new sets of codes, okay? Now, this first link is basically the redirect link you have to send your traffic, your subscribers, upon registering on your squeeze page. Okay, so as you probably know, every squeeze page has an opt-in box, which is provided by your autoresponder company, Aweber, Infusionsoft, GetResponse, iContact. Basically, this thing is compatible with all of them. All right, they should provide you with an HTML box, or rather with an HTML form, so you can toss that into your squeeze page and people can subscribe by entering their name, email address, and whichever other field you wish. All right, and from there, upon clicking on the submit button, they are automatically added to your mailing list, and as you are going to see very soon, they will also be automatically subscribed to your webinar. Okay, both things are going to happen simultaneously in the background. So let me go back. This is the link. Let me grab that. Let me actually copy this link. And let me bring a notepad. So this is the link you should be... There we are. Gonna just make it a little bigger, just to make sure you guys see that properly. There we are. So this is the link you are going to have to redirect your subscribers upon entering their name and email address on your squeeze page. Now I'm going to explain every single bit out of this link. Now, this is only for advanced users, okay? I am going to assume that if you are activating this feature, you are knowledgeable with PHP coding, or at least, your programmer or your website designer could make sense out of this explanation. It's pretty simple, but you have to know your way around PHP code. Okay, so the first half of the link is to simply be left alone. All right, just don't touch any of that all the way until we start passing the corresponding variables from your opt-in form into this redirect link. Okay, here you can find the variables such as name equals John, or whatever the name may be. Okay, so that would be name, email, the date they are subscribed to the webinar, the time they are subscribed to the webinar, whether you want to activate phone alerts, meaning SMS reminders and all that kind of stuff that we've seen previously in the configuration dashboard. The country code, let me make this a little bigger, just a second guys, there we are, the country code, the phone number, etc, etc. So as it stands, if I click on this demo link, someone called John with email address youremail@gmail.com will be registered to my webinar. This is the webinar ID, HT, blah, blah, blah. You are, like I said before, you are not to change any of that. But as it stands, John with this email address will be registered to this webinar, which is obviously going to be your webinar, for the date 17th of August 2012. Okay, do you see how we are using this specific format for the date? Again, it's very important that you respect this specific format. All right, firstly the year, then a dash, then the month, then a dash, and finally the date. Let's say that I wanted to change that. Let me modify this specific there we are, just a second. I'm gonna modify this specific date just so you guys see how it works. Let's say that I wanted to subscribe John for the 5th 05 of December 12 of 2013. All right, you see how it works? You have to respect that format, otherwise the webinar script is not going to be able to recognize it. Moreover, here we read time 16. All right, that basically means time 4 p.m. All right, this is set or displayed in a 24-hour period. If you wanted to subscribe John to a webinar at 3 a.m. in the morning, well, that would be 03. All right, if it was at 9 p.m. in the evening, that would be 21. Again, it's simply the time on a 24-hour format. Okay, and no, I'm sorry, you cannot enter at 9 p.m. and 15 minutes. Okay, it has to be a whole hour. All right. Now, and this is very important, guys. You have to make sure that whichever time you register John to, all right, and obviously the same goes for the date, is a time that you've previously activated on the configuration dashboard. Okay, remember at the beginning of the configuration process, you were to select the webinar schedule, all right? Let's say every day, and here, run multiple webinars per day. Okay, so there I was to select the time and all that. Anyway, what I'm trying to get down to is that whichever time you register your subscribers to, it needs to be a valid time that you've, as per your configuration. If you're trying to register your subscribers to a different time than what you registered before on the webinar configuration dashboard, obviously the webinar script is not going to find any valid time, any valid webinar scheduled at that specific time and date, and therefore we are, the script is just not going to be able to assign John to that specific webinar. All right, so again, make sure that you respect the times and dates as per your previous configuration. All right, anyway, now let's say you want to activate phone alerts. All right, again, if I scroll down in the registration process, there was a field here where you were to enable SMS alerts, phone call alerts, and all that kind of lovely stuff. If you want it activated, leave it to true. If you want to deactivate that thing, you have to set it to false. So you would change this for false. All right, or simply what you can do is to delete all this altogether from your link. All right, if you set it to false, anyway, none of this is going to take into, the script is not going to take any of that further information into consideration. All right, next, country code. Again, this is only valid if you set this to true. So let me actually change that to true. Sorry if this is taking a little bit of time, guys. I just want to make sure that you guys understand how the whole thing works. So true, I want to activate this thing. So country code, let's say you are in the United States, that would be 1, okay, because that's the country code, the phone country code for the United States. If you are, for example, in the United Kingdom, that would be 44, and obviously that would be the email, the phone number for John. Needless to say, you are obviously to insert all these: name, email, country code, and phone number in your opt-in form, right? Because like I said, we are going to pick up all this information and we are going to automatically embed those variables into the link that I've just been showing you. Obviously, you can add further more fields here, like address, like profession, age, or whichever you may want to add. That information is going to go to your autoresponder account, but it's just going to take no effect. We don't care about any of that as far as the webinar script goes. Okay. Now, how do we dynamically change these variable values here, like John, this dummy email address, this date, time, and all that, with the information the user has actually typed into your opt-in form? Well, I am afraid that I have to get a little geeky here, a little technical, because I have to talk about PHP code. Now, I'm not going to teach you anything about PHP code. This is way beyond the the scope of this video. I assume that if you are activating this feature, you are knowledgeable with PHP coding, or at least you have access to a PHP coder. All right. At any rate, please don't ask me how to get your way around PHP code. That's not the purpose of this video. Just get someone to do this for you. This is so simple. Any programmer can code this thing for you in less than 5 minutes. And if you go to freelance websites such as odesk.com or freelance.com or any of those websites, you can get someone to do this for you for less than $20 or for $10 or $30 or something like that. Like I say, this is a 5-minute job for any programmer. All right. Well, the thing is that all the major autoresponder companies allow you to pick up the values typed in by the user, grab those values and pass them along to your thank you page. All right. Obviously, the thank you page is the page where your users are redirected to upon completing the opt-in form. Right? Now, you have to ask your particular autoresponder company so they can instruct you on how to pass along the variables. I can't tell you how to do it on this video because each individual autoresponder company follows a different approach. However, make no mistake, they all will allow you to do it, and within a 5-minute conversation with their support department, they will show you how to do it. It's usually very simple. All right, so basically the idea is to grab all that information from your opt-in box and pass it along to your thank you page. Now, that thank you page is going to be formatted, it's got to be formatted in PHP format. That means that it's this thank you page will be called something like thank you.php, all right? Not thank you.html or thank you.whatever, all right? It's got to be a PHP page. Right, that's very important. So we can actually use PHP code in order to grab all these values. All right. Now, I am going to get a little geeky now because I have to start talking about some specific lines of PHP code just so we can grab all those values on your thank you page. So, the way we are going to grab those values is via a PHP get function. Again, I am assuming you are an advanced user and you know what I am talking about. If not, let your programmer watch this video. He will totally know what I'm talking about. All right, so you have to grab all the values from your squeeze page via a get PHP function. All right, the name, the email, the date, the time, where the phone alerts are set to true or false, the phone number, and the country code. Okay. And now that we've picked up the values for all these variables, we are simply going to be embedding those values into the link I was telling you guys before via PHP echo functions. All right, so if you remember, this was the link that was given to you by the webinar script, okay? And that's basically this snippet of code is what you see here. All right, all you have to do is to change these dummy values, all right, for example, name equals John by name equals PHP echo name. Okay, so I'm just gonna do so. That would be something like this: name equals PHP echo and then the variable name, and you close the PHP function. And that's it. You would do exactly the same thing for the email. All right. You delete this thing, open a PHP function. Oops, sorry. PHP echo email, and you close the PHP function. Okay, and so on and so forth for the date, the time, the phone alert, country code, and phone. All the variables that we need to fill in with the appropriate information. All right, so now we have a valid redirection email. All right, which is this email that you are seeing right now. Now what we are going to do is to actually redirect these people to this link via a standard meta refresh. Again, every single user, every single programmer will know what a meta refresh redirect is. Okay, so the idea is to get all these values, fill them up here on this link, and then redirect using a meta refresh instruction, redirect your users to that specific link. Okay, that's all there is. Now, This specific link will take your users to the webinar thank you page. Let's go back to the configuration dashboard. Remember, you were to set the thank you page. If I can actually find it. Just a second. Oh, actually down here, you will configure the webinar registration thank you page. Well, that is the page that your users are going to be redirected to. So on your squeeze page, thank you page, you don't really need to inform the user about any you don't really need to do anything at all on the thank you page. You just simply need to add this simple snippet of code, okay? And automatically they will be redirected to the webinar thank you page, and that's going to be the built-in, the default thank you page, right? The one that the software, the Evergreen Business software has built in for you, so you don't really have to create any or design or display any type of information on your squeeze page thank you page. Let your users simply be redirected with the refresh, with the meta refresh to the Evergreen Business System's built-in thank you page. It's going to be much easier that way. And the tracking system, the built-in tracking system, will be able to do its tracking job, of course. And speaking of tracking, as you probably know, Evergreen Business System has its own built-in tracking system. Well, just so it can track properly, how many people, the registration ratios from your squeeze page into your webinar, you have to copy and paste this second snippet of code, okay? Copy and go into your squeeze page and paste it somewhere in the source code between the body tags, okay? Between the, something like that, okay? Between the body tags, that's where you have to paste that snippet of code. Again, that's for tracking purposes, so the built-in tracking system can do its job properly. Oh, by the way, here in the tracking code, you will see two parameters, tracking ID 1, tracking ID 2, you can totally change that in order to know once you actually look into the tracking console, just so you know where your traffic is registering to your webinar from. All right, so let me just copy that really quickly, and I'm gonna paste it down here. There we are. So let me actually make that a little bigger. There we are. So you can change, for example, tracking ID 1, my squeeze page, all right? And tracking ID 2, I don't know, if you want to insert any type of tracking ID 2. If not, you can simply delete that altogether, all right? That's just so you know that the traffic is, once you actually look into the tracking console, you will see that people are registering to your webinar via this squeeze page. Anyway, I don't want to get ahead of myself because later on in the configuration dashboard, I'm going to explain more about the tracking system, okay? Here at the Publish Your Webinar section, there is a video in there that will explain all about the tracking system. For the time being, don't worry about it. Just keep it in mind, okay? Anyway, that was pretty much all. I realize that this may seem a little confusing. Again, this is only for advanced users who know their way around PHP code. If you are not familiar with coding yourself, hey, save yourself some headaches. Get to odesk.com or freelancer.com or any of those websites. Pay someone 25 or 30 bucks and they will get this all installed for you in 5 minutes. It's super simple once you know your way around PHP code. Okay? Cheers. Bye-bye.